What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a morning market rundown. If you're new to the channel, pretty much all we do here is just kind of run over the stock market each morning, try to make a little bit of sense of it. So let's get right into it. First, we'll look at SPY, then we'll move to triple Qs, QQQ, and then we'll tie it all together. All right, so if you're looking at the SPY today, the way I see it is right now we have our monthly level, this teal blue line right here, coming in at about 478.18. That can update when market opens a bit. Then we have our 6-month level coming in here at 478.40, 478.35, give or take. That level can also update it open by a little bit. All right, so the way that I see it, though, is that this is resistance. And it's not that I see it as resistance. I mean, it is resistance. It's not really up for debate. It is. You see what happened yesterday? We ran in there and just down. And then later in the day, down. So for now, this is a resistance. And until we are above and crossing over and sustaining over, you're not going to have much bullish movement. And that was word for word, or pretty close to what we had suggested yesterday, pre-market, saying, hey, you have resistance here. You're not going to have a bullish market until you're up and over. Not that you didn't see bullish moves throughout the day. It's just that your market can't really shift momentum, can keep going upwards until you're obviously above those levels. So you can always do bounces and runs back too, but until you're fully above and sustaining, you won't kind of trend off, right? So you'll see later in the day it gets rejected. So going into today, it's pretty much the same thing. You will not see extreme bullish movement on this market until you actually get up and above, 478.35 and sustaining. You could pretty much just say until you're above the pre-market high, or until you're above this resistance, or until you're above this resistance. So yeah, we could simply just go, yep, when you get above this, this resistance, then you're going to be moving bullish. I mean, obviously, no doubt, right? But, if we get a little bit more detailed, in my opinion, we could get as low as, in this situation, 478.16, saying when the markets are sustaining the monthly, we can consider to maybe move the market up. But to be a little safer, I would just say look for the market to be at 478.40 before you can actually look to be, I would say, more trendy bullishness, if you may. All right, so now let's look at the Qs. Oh, and when I do that, let me pull this. I don't have any support on the market until down here. You might be thinking, well, what about this low? And what about this low? And what about this low? Those could hold as supports. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, no doubt. I really don't see the SPY running all the way back down to 474 right now. Yesterday, it was like maybe a possibility. But anyways, I don't see that happening today. But the reason I'm mentioning that we don't have any support down here is because when we go to the Qs, when we do go to the Qs, you'll see the reason that we did not go to 474 in the SPY is because the Qs had support here. It actually kind of like some double support system. So yesterday when the Qs went here and stopped, went dink and bounced, it prevented the SPY from falling any further. So you'll see at this moment in time, it was 1018, right? That low there on the Q as it's running into support. And then you will see here on the SPY is not running into any support. I mean, if you look left and draw your own horizontal level, you'd be like, oh, look, it tags support perfectly. I can tell you that doesn't work long term. All right, so you will see this bottom point. What time is that? 10:14, 10:16, 10:18, 10:19, whatnot. So same timing that the Qs bottom off their support, SPY tends to bounce to. So now going back to the Qs, you will see that our first long target for the Q market today is 404.32. And our first down target right now is 410 cents. So these are going to be your support areas, and this is going to be your target long area for the day. All right. So you might be thinking, well, Connor, what about this resistance and this resistance? We got to go through that if we're going to go to there. I don't really see that as resistance, and I don't really see that as resistance. I believe that's resistance. Also, more or less the magnet, right? So this, what you're seeing just above, that's a long-term monthly level, right? So it will make sense as to why maybe we broke down here and kind of rejected around there and then faded out. And then we ran down to 6-month or maybe weekly support here. And we bounce. So right now, your QQQ market currently is coming off of a support, bounce has not actually hit resistance. You may think that's resistance, you may think this is resistance, and sometimes they do hold up, I will say. And that's just because of the trend, right? If you actually look at the trend, right? I mean, for the most part, we're still going down, right? Bounce down, bounce down, bounce. We haven't really crossed over any previous swing high points here, so we haven't really started uptrending, right? But, right, if we do start uptrending, the uptrend would start as we cross through this pre-market high level. Afterwards, we would then target up to 404, which, mind you, if that all did end up happening, you would do something like this. You would maybe keep those charts side by side, and you would say to yourself that QQQ is only going to go to 404 if the SPY even gets above, right? So first things first, as opposed to going, is it going to go to 404? Just simply come over here, watch the SPY, and say to yourself, if the SPY isn't clearing that dotted line, then there's no way we're going to 404. So you already know that first off, as the SPY needs to get up, maintain this monthly, then get over the 6 month around 478.40 holding. And if that's all going dandy, then there is a better chance you would then see this market go up to 404. And why is that? That is because the SPY is on resistance, right? If the SPY does not break out, then it just means that the overall market's probably not breaking out. And then it would be pretty hard to see the NASDAQ do it. Now, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And I don't want to say that the SPY controls the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ. I mean, that's not exactly how it works, but it's, you know, mix it all together, and it's a portion of how it works, and there's some psychology that plays in it. Then it's just the fact that it's a stock market, and it's unpredictable, and it's just this and that and the other. So, but in a nutshell, that's really what you're looking at on the daily basis, the intraday basis. I will say, I would not be surprised to see the market go here, then top and pull back. I would not be surprised to see the market go down to here, then bounce back up, or even go down to 398, you know, and then bounce. I wouldn't be surprised just to see a consolidation day between the two, right? And that's what I mean is we're not on a trending day, right? We are in between levels, and there's no breakdown until you're below all of these. And there's no break up until you're above that. So you are currently, and the same thing with the SPY, if I kind of zoom out some, you aren't really breaking down unless you go below all of these, and you're not really, well, you're not breaking up totally until you get through all the three. So you can see we've been battling on the SPY, right? Like, this is a better way of explaining it. Let me go like a 30-day, 10-minute. So this might help you understand a little better. All right, so you see how we have lines here, and then it breaks away and it runs to there, and then it kind of stops a bit, then it breaks out and it runs to these lines here. So until we cross through this blue line, we can't start the run to 487, okay? And then if we look at when we look at the Qs, right, you can see how the Qs down here, and there's more levels that I haven't added. So like you see how there's 3 here, there'd typically be 3 here. I'm just not adding it for the time being, but you can see, but they would normally cluster about here. So this would be a cluster spot of data, statistics stuff. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So you can see, right, you cross these 3 lines and you go on the run to the next 3, and you kind of hesitate in there a little bit, but not much. And then it goes up to the monthly and blah, blah, blah. So when you break the monthly, that's where you'll start to get kind of that clear pasture of open space in the chart again, where a run can happen. They would normally take you to the next set of levels, and then you have that congestion again. So as it stands, we're currently on the NASDAQ, right? We had broke away, so we broke out, tried to break the monthly, ran, and then the monthly said, you know what, let's retest. Goes below. So now it's a breakdown, bounces back, retests the breakdown, fades out more, stays in a downtrend until it minimum hits the 6 month on the Qs, and then we bounce back up. So we break back up above, pull back, hold back above. So that's the retest of the break up. So you higher low, bounce up, and now you're in the middle of the chart. So the people that just bought this long, they have not hit their long target. So unless the bears are going to do more damage, I think you could be seeing the start of a new little uptrend here. And the question is, do we get the break of the previous swing high in there? And then does that take us to 404? If this little upwards wedge pop fails, then yeah, we can see this market revert back down to the 400s and possibly even the 398s to as low as this 397, right? There's a lot of possibilities. So don't want to confuse you guys, but pretty much just know that, yeah, 404s, everything I said in this video. All right, you guys have a good morning.